So are you one of those golfers who, when they set up to the golf ball, you feel that they make a pretty decent swing on it, and you kind of feel that can be a little bit inconsistent with your accuracy, but there's definitely a lack of power there, and you can see the 7-iron I've swung at 75 mile an hour has only gone 132 yards. So what lots of people will tell you, and it kind of reminds me of one of my favourite golf quotes ever, is that it's all in the hips, like we hear in Happy Gilmore.
Wait a minute. It's all in the hips. Yeah, it's all in the hips.
Now, what a lot of golfers will find is that because they're swinging and they're trying to keep very, very still, it's all kind of hands and arms, a little bit of upper body. And like we said, first one's off to the right, second one's off to the left. Club speed's not great, ball speed's not fantastic, and that carry distance is down. So we're all told, aren't we, that it's about, we need to get those hips turning in the golf swing. But far too often, when we start turning, we kind of maybe feel there's a little bit more speed there, but not really a massive pickup. So club a little quicker, ball speed a little quicker, and carry a tiny bit quicker. But the hips, it's really important that we learn how to use the hips correctly. So I think so many golfers talk about turning because they're worried about swaying away from the ball, sliding towards the target. But what you've got to remember is if the club was out in front of you like that, it's incredibly easy just to get the hips turning. But because the golf ball's down on the ground and we're putting a bit of angle, up and down movement into the swing, we can't just work on turning the hips. We have to work a bit more on tilting the hips. So what we would look for in the backswing is we want that right hip to actually go up, and then to start the downswing, the left hip's going to go down, move out the way, and then come back up. So I know that can sound like a bit of a complicated thing to do. So cross your arms over your chest, get into golf posture. On the backswing, feel like the right hip goes up, and straight away you'll feel that there's much more kind of tension in the body rather than just turning. And if you're not creating any tension in there, you're not creating any power. So we're going to get that right hip going up. And I can definitely feel that through my right hip and my right leg. And then we're going to move towards the target, keeping the hip still turned, tilted. And then as we move down and towards the target, then that left hip can move back up. So you rehearse that a few times, and I think if you can get that feeling of right hip up, left hip down, left hip up, you'll notice just how good, how solid, but how much more aggressive that feels. So then we would always introduce practice swing, no golf ball. Same idea, right hip up, and then focus on the left hip for the downswing. And straight away there feels much more interaction with the ground. And just feels like a real whip through the bottom of the golf swing. So, like with everything, I would initially say when you reintroduce the golf ball, fantastic if that first shot's perfect and the best one you've ever hit. But if it isn't quite the best strike, it might be that you're just moving so much quicker that your brain's not used to where the club is at that point. So we're going to set up, kind of let go of the result for 2 or 3, but just focus on the movement of the hips. And if you do that as your first one, you'll completely ignore what I've just said. So suddenly a big jump to 86 mile an hour clubhead speed, nearly 115 ball speed, launch angle at 18 degrees, clubs travel down a bit more at 4 degrees, and then suddenly nearly 168 carry. And that really felt effortless for me. Didn't feel like I was trying to put any speed really into that, just focusing on moving the hips well, which obviously the hips are making me interact with the ground a little bit differently as well. But I don't want you thinking about what's going on down with the ground. I'm just going to focus on using those hips more efficiently, better through the golf swing to create a more powerful and repeatable movement. So again, right hip up. And that does feel really solid. So again, nearly 87 mile an hour clubhead speed. A little bit more ball speed at 117, launching at 16.8, club traveling down nearly 5 degrees again, and carry at 167. So you can see there, over 30 yards we're picking up just from, instead of trying to stay nice and still, which is a killer, but then equally not just trying to just turn the hips, trying to get everything timed, synced up, but creating that little bit of resistance in the golf swing so that as we unwind through the golf ball, we get some energy from the legs into the torso, into your arms, into the club, and ultimately into some distance. So let's go again. Right hip up, then left hip down, and then left hip up. So I know it sounds like a lot to think about, but it really isn't. And once you kind of do a few of the little rehearsals like we did, you'll be amazed how good that feels. And again, felt good. So a little bit more club head speed, nearly 88 mile an hour. Ball speed at nearly 116, launching at 20 degrees. Angle of attack really consistent at 4.6 down. Minus means down. And carry at nearly 177. So not only is moving the hips better, creating more speed, but you'll also notice there that the attack angle has been very, very consistent. Now, attack angle is just whether the club's moving down through impact, level, or up through impact. And hopefully we're all aware that with an iron, when the ball's on the ground, the club should be traveling down. And what we want to do is be able to control where the low point of the golf swing is, being ahead of the golf ball. And the more consistent we can be, the more consistent everything else is going to be. But we could see those last three there, really consistent angle of attack, consistent speed, consistent distances. So let's go one more. Remember, it's all in the hips. Again, feels great. Nearly 89 mile an hour club head speed, 119 ball speed, launching at 17 degrees, angle of attack 5 degrees down, and again 176 carry. And it really is one of those interesting things that when you work on golfers using their hips more effectively, it's amazing how all the positions in the backswing take care of themselves. Then as we shift across, that club drops down, and then as we get that left hip going up, it just fires the club through impact. So all the positions that golfers want to try and hit in the golf swing and try and almost place their club into those positions, if you get using your body correctly, it's amazing how well that club can work. And if you get in the club delivery consistent, might not be the dead straight one, it might be a little draw, it might be a little fade. But remember, the key to a good golf swing is it repeatable, is it powerful? Now the powerful thing I think is all relative to the individual, but if you're repeatable and you see the same shot every time, it's easy to take aim, play for that shot, but really focus on, for this video, the hips, right hip up, left hip down, left hip up, and if we can finish on one more really good one. Wasn't the best strike I've had. Wind's just got that, but the wind will come off on TrackMan. We can see 86 mile an hour club head speed, ball speed 116, launching at 19 degrees, angle of attack 4.2 down, and 174 carry. So even though that wasn't my best one to finish there, like I said, the inspiration for today's video was really from Happy Gilmore. Probably my favourite golf movie. If you've never watched it, you need to watch it if you're a golfer. And if you haven't watched it recently, go back and revisit. There's some great things in there. And even though might not be very textbook, some of the stuff they talk about, just might help you pick up some different shots with your game and really help you play some more consistent golf.